Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Ankerstar Wealth Morning Show. It is a Thursday, and I tell you what, we've got exciting topics today. Mike and I mean, we always kind of talk what we want about, but today we have all of our favorite topics. So let's think about what those topics might be. Well, we got Ankerstar Wealth, right? I get to talk about our firm, kind of where we are, where we're going, and I have a sneak preview, a video at the end of the building. I was there yesterday. I'm saving it for the end, so you have to be educated on all this other stuff before you get to it. Don't you fast forward, but to show you what the building's looking like. Again, we're supposed to close tomorrow. It's going to be next week or maybe early December. We'll get there. But I want to talk to you a little bit about our plan, and there are a few Ankerstar Wealth shares left for those that know, and I'm going to pop that slide up. So that's what we're going to talk about first. Then secondly, we're going to talk about Bitcoin. You may have noticed it's kind of been dominating the news cycle. Bitcoin's closing in on 100,000. Mike made the joke on Monday that it'll be there by the end of the week, and we all kind of chuckled. It looks like, Mike's right, which is why I put him on the team, because I like that he's right. So we shall see how that plays out. But obviously the greater market's on the way up, but Bitcoin is kind of, for those that have exposure to it, is really on the move, if you will. Then we're going to talk about Nvidia. You might have heard of Mike's favorite person, Jensen Wang. And so Mike gets to talk about him, and we'll get an update on whether he's actually a LinkedIn friend yet with Mike. Hopefully that was part of the good news we have this morning. And then lastly, Mike will talk a little bit about rebalancing. As fun as it is sometimes to watch things scream higher, professional money management is managing positions. So sometimes even when they're your favorites, Bitcoin, Nvidia, Apple come to mind, you do have to trim them a little bit. So that's what we have for our show today. Before we move on, it is Corey Hinkle's birthday. So if you're friends with Corey, send him a message, tell him a happy birthday. We also had David Chisholm had his birthday earlier this week. So a lot of exciting stuff going on. Before we get started, this financial education presentation, you have to do your own due diligence before acting upon anything you hear in this presentation. More disclaimer information is available at ankerstarwealth.com. And the opinions expressed are Mike and mine alone. Let's press on over and talk about Ankerstar Wealth. You know what? Before we do that, I just want to show you something real quick. I know, going off script, but we do have a new website. Mike's been working hard on this, so I do want to share that real quick because it's kind of awesome. And let's go. Here we are. So you should be seeing a jet flying across there. Here was my guidance to Mike, is make it awesome, but you have to keep the jets. So he did just that, and there's all the jets. So if you don't like him, you can blame me. If you like him, then you're welcome. We have our tagline, maximizing life by maximizing wealth. And we have all this stuff on how to get started, our services. If you've been with me since the beginning, since I was doing our website on like Wix.com, and then I went to, I'm trying to think of the other one. We're the do-it-yourself websites. I tell you, we've come a long way. You sure have. I did want to point out, though, if you're looking for calculators, if you're doing financial math, there's a reason we hang these here, is there's all kinds of calculators for you to use. So you should think, hey, I wonder what my car payment will be if I put something down, blah, blah. If you're thinking I need to do some math out loud and it's financial, go to this page. We've got your link. If you find a problem that you can't solve on this page, hit me up. We'll get it over to Mike and the team, and they will get this put out there. So thanks for taking a look at that. All right, let's go over to a quick presentation and talk about, kind of a state of the force of Ankerstar Wealth. I have an investor update that I put out on occasion at the end of every month, and that's what you're looking at here. Let's go to the front slide. There we go. I'm going to make this bigger if I can. There it is. Okay, so put this out at the end of every month. This is just for investors only, but I did want to show you this. There's a big disclaimer there, so you can pause and read that. But we do have shares of Ankerstar Wealth. I have a throwback jersey on today, if you can still see me in frame. But if not, it's a white thing from back when we were named Afterburner Financial. That was the initial name of the firm. When we matured from me to we, if you will, in 2021, with the hiring of Candace, and then we started hiring out our team from there. We also sold shares of the LLC, right? And in Texas LLC, you have it's membership shares. Anyhow, if you look down at the bottom right, we started this month. There there were 5,600 shares remaining. They are flying off the shelf. There's 2,000 remaining now, and I can guarantee you they'll be gone by the end of December, right? So once we have our building, when people walk in the door and they see that, they're just going to be floored and want to be a part of it. Again, a share gets you a part ownership of Ankerstar Wealth, as well as a part ownership of the building. So kind of two ways to win there. As far as our overall strategy, we're basically with the building, instead of going nationwide and everything, we're kind of focused on a few neighborhoods right here in the local area. So Round Rock, Cedar Park, Georgetown, Leander, the Northern Austin, Quad City area. I think I'm the first and only person that's saying that, but that's now a thing. I've got it over here in blue in the upper left hand. So that's kind of where we're targeting with some traditional marketing stuff. Think mailers, right? Targeted Facebook marketing. We have our classrooms. You have the building floor plan off to the left. You have the classroom and the in-game lounge off to the right, which is our facility to be able to host folks. And we're going to teach classes. When you look at this slide, you look at in the square at the bottom right, those are some projected classes. But now that, Trump's elected, eventually we'll have the Tax Cuts and Job Act 2.0, right? So we'll host things, right? So we'll bring you out and say, hey, who wants to learn about the new changes of the tax code that Trump brings? And we'll teach these multiple times, obviously free to current clients. It's free to everybody, but we'll have current client ones, and we'll also have ones where we're trying to bring on new clients. So very exciting time for Ankerstar Wealth. And, if you have any questions on that, reach out to Mike or I. All right. Again, the video is going to be at the end of the series here. And then I'm going to transition to Bitcoin. I almost forgot. How could I forget Bitcoin, right? My favorite topic I try not to talk about. Mike's showing you an actual Bitcoin there, which is important to know what an actual one looks like. All right, here we go. Back to taking a look at Bitcoin. It's in the upper left. This is, again, CNBC.com. Looking at 97,000. It went over 98, I think, was the highest I saw this morning. So, again, we're not going to go into why or what it does or how, all of that stuff. It's just it is on the move. So how do we hold it? Well, we hold it in a BITB ETF, which you can see in this picture. We'll go to a full quote detail here so you can see the big screen. New 52-week high. If you go back to January, all the way to the left here, where you can see the yellow, that's when the ETFs came out. Now, we were in it earlier last year, but again, the index funds that just hold Bitcoin became a thing on January 11th. You can see that anything new, kind of, it's a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing. So it drops right away. So get the weak sauce people out of there. And then it came screaming higher. And then we had 6 months of consolidation. So when I look at this 6-month period, I'm going to sum it up with thanks for your patience. Because I know you kept hearing some of us saying, it's going higher, it's going higher, it's going higher. Just got to wait. And you waited. If you waited, you got paid. And if you're with us, we waited for you, whether you wanted to wait or not. And now we're up here. So again, Trump pro crypto, or at least he ran on that, is one reason. So they're I don't really think a Bitcoin standard or Bitcoin reserve is going to happen, but it may. It's at least being talked about. But other things for this thing to move higher is, when you have you start on January 11th, that was announced like a week prior, I think, that these were happening. Well, when you're with an independent firm like ours, we can make decisions really quick. Talk to the team, powwow, make sure we're all on the same page, or at least passively concurrent with the plan, and then we can move forward and we hit this thing hard on January 11th. If you work at an institution, you talk about it for this long, and then you have put some PowerPoint together, and you have this meeting that says, okay, yep, this is ready to take up to the next level of management. So that's scheduled for another quarter out. And then you talk to middle management, and they all agree, and they make you change fonts and colors on your PowerPoint slide, and all the important stuff that's out there, and that you said this and that, and wordsmith it. And then we get up to here where it's like, okay, let's go ahead and have a meeting with leadership, and leadership says, okay, well, let's go ahead and implement it, and let's go ahead and implement starting, at the beginning of the next quarter, right? So that's the institutional world for you, moving at the speed of government, if you will. So where do I get that? Obviously, I'm not an expert on it, but I do listen to experts like Rick Edelman, Matt Hogan from Bitwise, and they were talking about how the money flows into the ETF, which obviously they track a lot because that's their thing. They're saying institutional money just is now getting warmed up. So largely, this is institutional money following through on a January 11 decision, which Mike and I were all over on January 11. But it takes them some time, so that's flowing in. And then also there are options chains that just started trading on the larger ETFs. BITB is one of them. I do not recommend you get into the options playing world with Bitcoin, unless you know exactly what you're doing. The premiums are juicy, so literally this is like going right to crack cocaine of the investing world. So I would stay clear. Just be own the underlying asset and just be happy that you do. But if you're savvy enough and you want to hop into the options thing, do your own due diligence, if you will. All right, that's all I have for today. Let's hand it over to Mike, and Mike's going to talk about Nvidia.
Yes, Nvidia came out with earnings yesterday. This was the last of the Mag 7 to come out with their earnings. So the rest of them were a couple weeks ago. And so we were looking forward to this day, and they did not disappoint. Revenue up 94% year over year, so basically doubled. And then as far as earnings, 81 cents versus expected 75, and $35 billion in revenue versus 33 expected. So very exciting. And then most importantly, when this number comes out, they beat as expected. The shares actually dropped a couple percent. And you say, well, how could that happen? They were waiting for Jensen to speak, project out next year, and went into that. They raised their forecast by a little bit, but it expects year over year growth of 70%. Now that's down from 265%, but still, I mean, this company is probably after today, I'll have to look, but right around the biggest company between it and Apple and Microsoft. I'm going to show the share price. It's been bouncing around pretty much where it ended yesterday. So it's almost like the share price did not make a major move up or down. The good news is with Nvidia is, I can find the quote somewhere, well, maybe not, but the quote goes like this: everything we're producing, we're selling. Like, it is just produce as fast as we can. We are selling every single one of these. Even look, here's a nice quote from this is their CFO. Every customer is racing to be the first to the market. Their Blackwell chip, which is the one they just released, it's selling like hotcakes there. That's an old reference. So anyways, we love Nvidia, and looking forward to hearing Jensen in person, and then I can go up and be like, LinkedIn, I know you're making 35 billion in revenue, hire a couple assistants to accept my friend request, which has not been accepted yet. I need to look at all my contacts. Maybe I do know somebody that actually works there and they can start to get me in.
Exactly.
So here's the stock. This is a one-day chart. So I just thought it was interesting to see. All the way on the left, this is when they came out with earnings. And you can see the stock jumped around a lot. This is why you don't want to do after-hours trading, because I was watching this and nobody knew where it was going. It went down and went up and went down, and then it trickled down until like about 2 a.m. this morning, and then everyone said, yeah, this is a great company, let's buy it. And then when the market opened, it shot up all the way up to 151, and then it's trading about 145. So pretty much where it was yesterday. But here, the more important chart here, take a look at the year-to-date chart. So year-to-date chart up, almost threefold. We did not, I wish I could say we bought it all right in January like we did Bitcoin. We actually waited to after the initial surge to 140, and we got it on sale in the kind of 108 to 112 range. So we made a quick, I'll say 20-25% profit in 3 months. That is a great return for 3 months of investing. So Nvidia is one of our largest holdings as far as the percentage of models. And leading into that, so after hearing Bitcoin and hearing about Nvidia, I just want to briefly talk about rebalancing. And with Nvidia, let's say you're up 20%. So if you had a 5% holding, you're up to 6%. That's okay, and that's certainly within the flexibility of our models. But when you take a Bitcoin, if you were in this as of January, you are over double your position. So if we had a 5% holding in that model, and it ranges across them, you would now have a 10% holding, assuming all other stocks were equal, which they were not. But you could end up with an 8 to 10% holding, and then we're starting to get heavy. And then certainly if you started with a 10% holding and you doubled, you went to 20%, now you're starting to get a little bit more risky. And rebalancing is the art, I shouldn't say the art, it's a science, but it's rebalancing to the weights of the model. So what that means is, yes, we're going to sell some companies at a profit. We're going to take some money. If you played blackjack, you're going to take some money off the table, and then you're going to invest it somewhere else, hopefully in another company that's like Nvidia or another commodity, another Bitcoin. Not that I don't think there's another Bitcoin, but we're going to shift that money elsewhere. Now, we allow in our models the ability to keep a higher percentage. We're not selling back to what you had back in January or what you had back in July, but we're just going to take some profits. So just preparing people that they may see this happen, and it is meant to be. You don't, as much as we love these two things that we've talked about today, we don't want to hold a 50-50 portfolio of these two. We want to have a balanced portfolio. And you can always look back and say, well, but I could have done this. Well, there's times when things go down 20, 30%, and you don't want to sit in a aggressive asset all the time. So that's all I'll say on rebalancing. Steve, how about you? Experience rebalancing? Do you get some resistance to it?
Well, I just want to, how I put it in terms, I mean, everything you said is mathematically correct. And you're right, that's how we do manage it. That's kind of one layer removed from kind of what at least I talk to with my clients. My clients, I talk about, hey, we establish a risk score, we talk about it, we put it in your client, we redo the investor's policy statement and move it if we need to, up or down, depending on what we're doing. So that's kind of like your commander's guidance, to use military terms, to us. And then really that rebalancing, if we don't rebalance, what happens when things are screaming higher, or one or two holdings like Nvidia, Bitcoin, is you'll see that the risk score, which we use a plus or minus 1, right? So going into the election, we were conservative. We did, I'll take the hit on that. I didn't know that the market would just continue to scream higher that whole time. So I was dialing the risk down below the, if it's 7.0 risk, I was dialing it down into the sixes. And then when you have stuff that runs like this, you naturally, Mike talks about that oversized positions in both Nvidia and Bitcoin. The over time as they run, your risk score goes up. So really, to me, what drives that rebalancing is when you finally hit that, +1 limit, and we get an alert in our software that we use every day that gives us a list. It says, hey, that's a limit. You need to take a look, and then that's what causes the rebalance. So just a little bit inside baseball on how we do things here at Ankerstar Wealth. It is a science, but then there's a little bit of art sprinkled in on investment selection there. The art is kind of what we put into the models, and then the science is just executing the models, which is why we work so hard on making sure we get those right for you. And lastly, I do want to say Mike was correct. I looked it up while he was talking. Nvidia is the largest company in the world, 3.5 trillion. Apple's at 3.43 trillion. So, that's a daily market move, right? could change that. So it does flip around a little bit there. So yeah. And he mentioned meeting him in person. I don't know that we'll be invited necessarily to the after hours Jensen Wang party at the Consumer Electronics Show. Certainly he's a keynote, well, he's, I think, the keynote speaker for kicking the whole thing off. So we should be able to get there and get in person, at least in the same room with them, to hear his wisdom. So with that, a lot of good content out there today. Stay tuned for the video, which is running right now. It's 2 minutes of me doing a walkthrough of the building. And with that, thanks for your time, and we'll see you guys back tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye. Hey everybody, Steve here. Just wanted to give you a quick sneak peek of the building. We'll have grass out in front and not this dirt. Obviously we've got 4 units. Building 8 is our overall thing. So I have 810 through 84. You can kind of see it there. We'll have some offices over on the left-hand side. Hopefully that'll be our CPA and lawyer. Then our right side will be Ankerstar Wealth over here. as far as the client experience for going in for the classroom as well as the in-game lounge. This is kind of our reception area as you walk in. And then clients will come back here and dump into the classroom. So this is our classroom. The floors will be fixed, don't sweat that. This is our classroom area. There's our 4 big windows. The big picture is to have a screen that runs from wall to wall. So this will be an infinity wall. So that's what you'll see when you walk in, is just one big presentation. As far as going up to where I would be speaking, here's what it looks like to the back of the wall. That's going to be a 7.5-foot bookcase. It's a Murphy bookcase that'll open. And then once you open the magic bookcase, going into the in-game lounge, which will be in here. We'll have a banquette on this side. We will have a couch over there. We'll have tables and chairs over there set up. And then that far corner over here is a bar. It'll have a drop ceiling, 18 inches. We're going to have tile wallpaper in here, as well as a chair rail with paint below the chair rail. All 4 windows will be covered with some blackout blinds and then mirrors over them, so there will not be any natural light in here. And again, with the ceiling tiles, all of the pot lighting that you see up there will be covered. And as far as everything else, the brains for the big projectors we'll go to the far side here. The brains will live here, and then we'll have 3 big projectors hanging down from the top. Again, we can control them from over here in the corner, or there's another panel that's going to go over by the far door there to be able to control if we need to change the screen, sound, anything like that. 8 embedded speakers are going into the ceiling, and they're stereo. So I've been told that if I have a video with a jet flying by from left to right, that they can match the sound of that across the top. So we shall see if all that happens. So that's your quick sneak peek at the building. Hope you like what you see, and can't wait to see this with furniture and everything else built out. Talk to you soon.